Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring that we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your thoughts. Get your Ulu hammers and your Middle-earth guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel it will get you to come. To the pit, tank. To the pit, tank. The Rocky Mountain pit, tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.
Your Alex will be along shortly sized podcast.
So today we were going to talk a little bit about a situation that had occurred with us that brings up a very interesting and complicated thing. A situation's complicated. And that is devices not connected. That's Mr. Devices not connected.
I told you he'd be here.
Yep.
So there.
Yar.
Welcome.
So many of you guys, many of you guys have known that about 2 weeks ago, one of our own friends passed away. And it left, other than the obvious, it was a sudden thing. And other than the obvious that, leaving a massive hole in our friend group and things like that, we've run into another problem, which was his character is still active in our game. And Troy is flapping.
Going to move the whole house there.
There we go. The house is moving. So, anyway, one of the things we wanted to talk a little bit about, and Alex and I had talked about this to some degree, was what do we do with this now very complicated situation? There are so many things that people have recommended, and they're all different. And there's so many different concepts and things like that. So that was something we kind of wanted to talk about today. And clarify if you will, Alex, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Add to that or remove from it.
Yeah, we want to talk about how we want to resolve the character loose end, if at all. How would we want to resolve it if we do? Also, the character is, as far as we know, alive in the game, but they were portaled away,
right?
And so along with an NPC that was played by Troy, and then also like how we get Guy's character has got a thing where they're very close to Troy's character, and so how do we thread that? How do we square that circle on?
Right.
How character motivation to do things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which in a lot of this, we figured this would be fascinating to talk about because sadly, as we all, especially as Gen Xers, start to grow older, this is becoming more and more of a reality. Those of us
to answer Matt and Ralph's question, he is asking if it's tabletop or console, and it's tabletop Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Ralph's question.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. I guess I'll see it at some point.
There, I'll show it to you right there.
There you go. Yeah, no, we're talking about D&D. We're actually playing D&D 5e, and it was our group that got together weekly. And our buddy was part of this adventure crew. And, first of all, some background. The individual in question we had known since the 90s. He's been part of our group for 30 years. And so, or pretty close to 30 years anyway. It's one of those, it's been a hard hit for all of us, all three of us, because he's in our group and we've watched him get a family and start a family, and the family is part of our group now. And we just adopted everything. And so this has been particularly hard for all of us. And though that is part of the story, that's not the story we kind of want to go into tonight. We're more interested in what do we do now that we've lost the player. And even this could happen with other things. Our buddy from Geekway Homes just lost a player out of their game, not from death, but because they got a free home in Michigan. And, who's going to turn that down? So they moved to Michigan. And that's, and when you have an in-person crew, one person on remote is kind of complicated and difficult. And so that's a little harder. So anyway, we figured we would talk a little bit about some of the ins and outs without forcing Troy to give spoilers, but certainly to give him ideas or thoughts or make sure that all of the bases are covered, or if he wants to give us instructions. Or
well, we'd also talked about in our pre-planning phase too, of just talking about Julie and Ivy's relationship and such. But a lot of players, because death is part of life, role-playing groups have to deal with it when it happens.
It's going to happen.
And depending on the group is really the way to go about it. And if, as you had offered to switch up things, and I said, really, if everyone in their group still wants to continue on, I want to continue on. But if there's people who don't, then we'll figure out something from there.
Well, and I should quantify that by saying if we wanted to take a temporary break. And that's interesting. Brent's saying that having the character passing and then having a memorial, that's also what Can, who's on my stream, recommended. However, oddly, my wife really doesn't like that idea. Her counter argument to that was, this is our fantasy world, and she's having a hard enough time with this in the real world. She doesn't want it invading the fantasy world. So there's an interesting counter argument to that.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that I'm running in circles. My brain is running in circles and going over things, which means I need some kind of resolution or closure or something of some sort, because I'm just going in the same loop over and over and over, and it's not doing me any good. And I mean, some of that is also the loss of the individual. It's causing me to go into loops and stuff like that too. But I mean, on the same token, an NPC it. Yeah, that's always an option too, is NPC the character. Rotten Ralph was suggesting that we NPC the character. Also an option. Technoblade never dies.
So as the each of the player characters all have a what's the word I'm looking for, path that there is in front of their characters to either follow or not follow. And in this situation, what I had planned for Drayden, JD's character, it's thinking about it, just makes sense to have his character continue on that path to reach that endpoint, because when I started this with the last game in mind. So knowing where everything's going to go, and Drayden was part of that last scene or last segment of the story.
Aha.
As is everyone's character, except for Ivy, because when this was written, Ivy was not part of that. And except for Bacht, because when I wrote Bacht into it, I wanted Bacht not to be on the same level as all the other characters, since he was my character. And I never intended, since I knew I would be running the last portion of the game and then the game would be done, Bacht was not going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, maybe Ivy shouldn't either, for all we know. I mean, that maybe is a thing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Ralph.
Yep.
I had hoped that we had managed to get to everybody. And
Yeah.
There will always be people who are out of the loop.
Yeah, who are out of the loop. So, yeah, but that's who we lost. I get you.
Out of everyone I know, I think that would have been one of my last guesses.
I know, right? You would have been the last guess for
But
me.
awesome.
But it's good to have you on board with us, though, my friend. I
Yeah.
miss you. Haven't seen you in. Well, yeah, but that's okay.
Hmm.
I don't know. I've been kind of keeping up with you sporadically on social media. So I mean, But I did, yeah. He had cancer, and it was sudden, like super sudden. I mean, I guess not super sudden, but
That was
we
pretty.
found out in like November, was it?
We knew he was sick,
Yeah, we knew
and
he was sick.
and they were doing the doctor thing, and he didn't get diagnosed until Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
And then it was it's lymphoma. It's treatable. It's 85% chance of survivability, and he didn't.
Yeah, he just didn't. So yeah, cancer does that. Yeah. So yeah, it was JD. So, but as you might imagine, because oh, that's an interesting option. Become the quest giver. We have to keep going to Drayden to find out what our next mission is. He's going to start working at Bahal's Deep for Skiz.
All roads lead to Balls Deep.
All right.
But
anyway.
Yeah, I know that you were looking to have closure within the game. Funny enough, I've been rewatching IT Crowd, and today I watched the episode where they do the D&D game, and the Roy's character is broken up with his girlfriend and is having a really hard time with it because they never said goodbye. And so in the D&D game, Moss creates a scene where Roy's character meets up with a past love interest and is having a really touching scene in there to have the closure within it.
Yeah. Well, and I think talking to Alex on the way to our MDK meeting yesterday and back, I think one of the biggest concerns that I've got is I am yet again running into an interesting dilemma created by me that I need to figure out what to do about it. And all I really need is what is the storytelling version of this, because I really don't mind either way. But we set up the systems, or what happened was that my character, Ivy, has been hanging out with Bach's character's dads. So
Bach's dads are Bach is a half orc barbarian warrior who was adopted at a really young age by two gay wizards, is his backstory.
Right. And so when I was running my game, I parked Ivy at their house effectively for the duration. And what they did was teach her how to be more socially acceptable and less socially inept. And so now she's back. But also, while they were at it, I sort of built in this little story that now Ivy wants to find Bacht because she hung out with his family for like a year and a half or whatever. So half orc bard because it's hilarious. Agreed. I have a tiefling bard, so there's that. So part of the problem that we're running into is, of course, now we're at another part of the story where we have to go look for another character. And I'm running into a problem because metagaming, we know we've parked Bacht. He's parked. But in-game, Ivy wants to find him. And so now I need to figure out how to resolve this. Really, I originally did it to throw a bone to Troy to give Troy the ability to put a hook in if he ever wants to. However, it is starting to become weirdly uncomfortable. And so, it's like, because the last time Mariah was the one that brought up, shouldn't Ivy be concerned about looking for Bacht before looking for Valeria? you know.
Well, the
sort
thing
of
with that is we know where Valeria is, and it's a place that you guys have been to before with the help of someone else, and know that you can get there again. The place that you've been to where Bach has been lost, you don't know exactly where he's at, and you've been told that the one way to get there is broken, and the
Right.
people who
Well,
can fix it are trying to fix it.
Alex had also brought up that obviously portal technology of some sort is being used, and if we can learn more about that, even if it's not the right one. So that was a good hook as well. But my real question was, is it useful to resolve both of these together since they're both in the same place? So
I would also like to interject that one thing why that I don't know, but maybe Troy does, is does Kevin, Valeria's player, wish to rescue Valeria, either to play as Valeria again instead of Garel, Valeria's girlfriend, or just to have her back in the game as an NPC?
To the best of my knowledge, it is his goal to rescue Valeria and change back over to Valeria. But what I have not conferred with him is how long he is interested in playing the new character, because he had before this all came about. I'm not letting. There's no spoilers coming out of this. This is just a letting you know the retcon of the metagaming. Kevin wanted to play as Garel for a while. He just brought that up to me, and I'm like, but she's like level 3, and there's a reason why you guys are leveling up so fast that the group is unaware of. Although that you're aware, the group is aware something weird's happening, and you should not be leveling as fast as you are. But what it is, you don't know yet. And Kevin was like, well, why not just level her up too? I'm like, because she's not part of the plot of the story, and it doesn't make sense to change that. But thinking on it, I thought of Dan's advice as a GM is give your players what they want when you can. And I'm like, what way can I give Kevin what he wants and make it work? And I'm like, oh, this is a freaking magic world. And part of Valeria's mystery powers that she's still developing could theoretically give her life essence to someone else, and thereby giving all of those levels and powers to someone else. And so I just worked it out to where it became Kevin's choice as a player. Hey, you know there's going to be a sacrifice made here. You don't know what it's going to be. Do you want to bring your loved NPC back? Yes. Okay. Anna's power kicks in. Now Anna gets to try to tell Kevin, don't do that. You will die. Kevin, in very excellent role-playing fashions, like, I love this. I love her more than myself, so therefore I will sacrifice myself to save her.
Right.
And both storyline-wise and mechanically, I have now allowed Kevin to get to play Garel for however long he wishes to.
Right. Which is really cool. And
so
I dig it.
And it's it really is up to Kevin if he wants to continue the rest of the story as Garel and have her take over the path that was being walked by Valeria, or go rescue Valeria and hopefully find some way to not have Garel die when Garel gives the powers back to Valeria.
Right. And it's like complicated.
I don't want to give you guys easy choices.
Right.
Where's
but
the
that's
fun in
the
that?
other problem. What we are running into is that this is the long campaign.
Mm-hmm.
This is
you're halfway through 11th level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a thing that's interesting. And so so what happened with me, of course, was that in the very beginning, Birian was my character and she was a paladin. I was going to play a paladin because that sounded like fun. And then I realized it's not fun to play a paladin with a whole bunch of people who like to kill everything. It was actually remarkably difficult to not just decide to haul everybody off and throw them at the church. And so I asked to swap characters with a new character, and Troy gave me that option too. But the trade-off with that one is that Ivy, who is a lot more fun to play and a lot better character and a lot richer. Ralph, the problem that we have is more complicated than that. So he's blocked that part. So we have that's part of the puzzle that doesn't work. Anyway, so my character Ivy has come into this game later. They rescued her, and now she's part of the team. but she's not part of the bigger plot, which is also interesting. And instead, my old character has become the big bad in the story.
Big Bad's right hand.
Good enough.
Yeah, because and it came at a time where that character was being tempted with power, and so your decision to want to switch characters
Fit
fit perfectly with the timing to say, oh well, I guess Birion said yes to the power. So, yeah, magic is getting messed with thanks to the actual big bad, and things are not working necessarily the way they should.
Oh man, I'm gonna stand up for a minute here because I have not been feeling 100% today all day.
I thought maybe because you just lost control of your bladder in your chair or something.
Right, that's exactly what happened. No, but like my bones hurt. A better word. So
yeah, we've got 2 bards in the group now, and 2 rogues, and I would say Alex's bard is rogue adjacent.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely rogue adjacent.
But this the unintended interesting theme for this campaign that kind of happened, and Ivy's an exception to it, which makes sense because Ivy's not part of the original group. But it was kind of like everybody made a character who had goals that were slightly out of their chosen class.
Mm-hmm.
So, example, JD's character was a wizard who wanted to be a cleric and tried to function like a cleric using wizard spells and skills. And then eventually more druid-like. Whereas James made a ranger who really wanted to be more like a fighter, I think, in his abilities of what he 2-sworded shenanigans. I don't know if Anna's
that's
character,
one of the basic ways that rangers go.
Is it
classic? Yeah.
Yeah, Anna was pretty much straight ranger with no deception of being a ranger. But yeah, it's been fun with the direction characters have gone and their interactions with each other. And Ivy and Julie have been getting closer, it seems, as Ivy's become less irritating.
Yeah, I pretty much built me, but without all of the ADHD locks. So all the programs that I run to keep me from saying all the things that I probably ought not to say, she says. So she just says them. Yeah. So she's just effectively me. It's just like so. But as you might imagine, anybody running ADHD pure is confusing and baffling sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So to answer Rotten Ralph's question, the big bad has had a year and a half lead on the characters into a campaign of killing gods and their followers and disrupting the flow of magic through doing so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Guy's bard Ivy is college of basically like a jester.
Yeah, as college of jester.
Or Harlequin, I'm an idiot until I'm not. Drop wisdom bombs on people.
Neurodivergence as a superpower. I'm just saying.
Well, Bacta's straight up autism and based off of my son because I thought it'd be interesting to play an autistic character. Because and when he rages, you can't tell he's raging other than he makes eye contact. Right. Because he views eye contact as being threatening. So he threatens other people by making eye contact because that's his world of how he lives and things. So one of the least screaming of the barbarians out there.
Right. Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to handle the Drayden question. And since you have an idea, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, Drayden dilemma. We're calling it the Drayden dilemma.
The Drayden dilemma. It's cool. Yeah, but you have an idea. So that's cool. And then whatever.
Guy's weird. I'm okay with that.
And then yeah, so that'll be interesting to see.
Mhm.
And I don't know if not necessarily if Garel fine if we get Valeria back and the power goes back to Valeria doesn't mean she's gonna die. Unless she's like already really hurt and it's all using Valeria's hit dice as temporary hit points or something. If I just transfer, I mean, B-Dan did it in the Earthdawn game.
Drayden, right?
You know, he did that with the Robert Mitchell's character, Sigurd, carrying the spark, for lack of a better term, that belonged to Felinius Goldstar.
Right.
And that when they when he encountered Felinius, then the spark leapt from him to Felinius. And he was still one of the champions at the end, you know, one of the new passion of valor since Thestonius was slain.
It probably won't be that dramatic, but I want it to seem
Right.
dramatic.
Yes.
I don't want it to see like, okay, all we have to do is go do this and it's solved. I want there to be well, wait, what happens when I do this?
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're in the world of dead already. Can't get any more dead, right?
Right. Yeah, and figuring out what's going on with, you know, with some extra dimensional magics.
Mhm.
That's cool. And the Raven Queen and her ineffable plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe she's the big bad. Maybe she's fighting the big bad. Maybe she'll offer power to those who with high charisma since she makes warlocks.
Maybe she's a sub bad.
Nah, the Raven Queen's totally a top. She's got big top energy.
You're just saying.
So on that note, maybe we should talk about our sponsors.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, we're just saying, but you know, if you're gonna sponsor us, this is a good time to do it. Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and Your Mom.
Your Mom.
Who may be a top or bottom or both. We don't know.
You know, we don't judge.
Or do
Don't
we?
judge.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, the ineffable. I love that word, especially from I think it's one of the Dirt Gently books. Maybe we shall actually F the ineffable itself. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and especially how we're all trying to work through the grief and how it's going to spill over into game.
Grief is a weird thing. I actually have been, I mean, as a side note on this one, I've been noticing myself being sharp and snarky and grumpy and snappy. You know, like I bark at people and out of character, like uncharacteristically just grumpy and like disproportionate. You know, I just like totally yelled at my kid, like full on screaming, yelling, ranting sort of thing over a
social services
thing.
I said I'm calling social services.
Right. Nah.
But you're catching yourself and then correcting yourself, hopefully.
Yeah.
And saying,
Yeah. But
that was disproportionate.
It's still strange. I'm clearly spikier at the meeting that we were just at. I kept making people kind of give me the I'm angry look, which I know means that I had said the wrong thing. I have this great idea. And everybody's like, oh, I didn't say it right. You know, I feel that was kind of a thing. So it's bleeding out. It's like
not specifically the topic, but since Alex was there, would you say his assessment is correct? Because sometimes you think that you are coming across worse than you actually are.
I think that is more. I mean, there was some kind of challenging stuff there. I think it was just one of the things where Guy had to do the thing where he talks a lot to get to what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first thing that I said wasn't right.
Yeah. But I mean, of course, it's there's sometimes some history there too, where it's like, oh well, you know, and there was some like reiterating and such, some going over the same ground.
Yeah, it happens with AD folks. They
Mhm.
short-term memory problems of remembering what they just said.
Oh, in this instance, I that's not what was going on. I phrased. We don't realize how much phrasing means something, and I'm not just talking about phrasing, but I mean like phrasing and tone of voice can change everything. The difference between, you know, can I help you and can I help you? The same words, but the meanings mean something completely different. And those are hard for me to parse sometimes. And sometimes I will say it and I will say, can I help you? And I don't mean to. What I meant was, can I help you? You know, and because I just ran the wrong program by accident, it comes across completely wrong.
Mhm.
Uh, I had, or not thinking about the ramifications of the words that you say. Um,
Yeah, I catch myself reminding Taryn of that all the time because I know his intent is not to sound like he sounds when he says some
Yeah.
things. So I just have to remind him and say, hey, your tone of voice is making it seem like you're being really confrontational right now, and I know you're not. So you need to listen to yourself and hear these things when you say them and think about how other people will interpret your actions and words.
yeah, I
So
mean, it's one of those things that's kind of hard. In the instance that I was doing, the thing that got me in the biggest bowl of hot water was, you know, we were talking about a specific thing, and I inadvertently compared our convention to another convention, one that our convention is not very fond of, and that wasn't my intention. That wasn't what I was trying to say. It wasn't the goal I was after, and
is
ended
this
up
the first convention that popped in your head? Probably.
yeah. Well, no, it was the
Oh,
most popular convention because we were
uh,
talking about popularity. And so I picked the most popular convention, which is Comic Con or Fan Expo. And there's a bunch of animosity in our convention towards them. We were the biggest con until they showed up all of a sudden. So there's a lot of angst and animosity, which caused a long justification of we're not that con because of this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 that wasn't what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say is we don't bring things in by popular, but what's popular, we bring things in by what fits our charter. And that was what I was trying to say. Because if you did that, we would just be a Comic Con like every other Comic Con because that's the most popular, you know. And so, but it inadvertently ended up connecting the wrong way because I didn't think it through. I just didn't think all the way to the end of that one. And I ended up spending a good portion of time defending that position, which I didn't mean to, you know? It's like I didn't mean to defend that position. I think one of the reasons that I argue on Facebook is practicing trying to find the right wordage to convey the things that I need to convey in a short and sweet manner, which is remarkably hard for me.
yeah, I haven't seen any success in that.
Nope.
Your 5 paragraph long answers to people talking to you on Facebook.
Yep.
I like your button idea, Rotten Ralph.
Right. But I mean, and Ralph, I know darn well you went through this with me on the same kind of things. Yes, and fatigue makes managing it harder and things like that. That's absolutely true. I'm tired right now. I didn't sleep well last night and I'm feeling uncomfortable. Like something's not right. And I don't know if I'm sick or if I'm just not, I don't know what's going on. But whatever it is, I'm feeling extremely low power. And that's making this difficult because I can't stay on topic. We have already drifted way off topic.
What's your
Because
caffeine intake been today? Caffeine intake been today?
not very good. I'm actually, water hasn't even been a thing. Well, that's a good point too. So also one of the things that I had been talking about was that I'm an external processor. I need to talk it out. I can't just sit and somebody had said something that was perfectly accurate, which is there's too many voices inside my head to try to process this stuff inside there. There's only one way to talk things or to process stuff, and that's to talk it outside. And I've noticed that a lot of us go around talking to ourselves because hearing that voice is the loudest voice, the one that's not talking about whether we left something on or whether we've got some homework assignment that needs to be completed or whatever. I see my therapist tomorrow. I actually do. And I haven't seen her in 2 weeks, which means that this is actually, Brent, I'm going to totally take off the stream tonight. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go take NyQuil or whatever and go to sleep after this is over. I missed my stream this morning and last night because of all of these, because I just wasn't feeling up to it. So anyway, I will be talking obviously to my therapist tomorrow, but also Alex and I are going to go talk it out too, because Alex is also external, but maybe not necessarily as weird as I am, but at least I can talk it out. Because the biggest problem, of course, is I'm married to an internal processor. It didn't matter. I didn't have a stream this morning, so you missed nothing. I went back to bed. So anyway, I am attempting to take care of myself just fine. We'll be fine.
Did you read that article I sent you about body doubling?
Yes.
To me, body doubling is when you have someone stand in for an actor to get the correct lighting.
Yeah, I think they just come up with whatever names that they can come up with.
But there's a thing that Guy and I both do that I never knew there was a name for it. But I am more productive when I'm with a group of people, even if we're doing our own thing.
Yep.
So hence painting miniatures while watching shows with Guy and Kevin when they hang out at my place. Yep. But apparently hanging out with a group of people, but doing your own thing and being more productive because you're surrounded by other people doing their own thing is called body doubling.
And it's something Spectrum people do, which is, by the way, the reason why I stream twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll get onto the stream and Brent, who's, my buddy Brent here, will body double with us and hang out with us. And we get Pepper, who also is Spectrum-y. And both of us do much better when we're both on stream. And so the streams are very important to me because it's exactly what we're doing. It's body doubling. Even when I'm by myself, generally I'll pull somebody in on the stream as well, and they'll just hang with me. So that's definitely a thing. But now knowing that that's actually something that ADDers do, and it's something we gravitate towards because it makes us do more. Yep, and you keep me on schedule as well. Something we do that makes everything better. It's always a good thing, Mm-hmm. Knowing that is something that is good. So anyway, I just lost my train of thought. It just rolled right into a ditch. I watched it do it.
You collided head on with another train of thought.
No, there's no trains of thought up there. Just nothing. The tracks just ended at a brick wall, like James believed the interstates did.
So what is Julie and Ivy's relationship? I'm going back and referring to our notes here real quick.
Oh, good. Bring us back on the target.
Well, Guy had I think, erroneously painted himself into a corner. It's like where he was like saying, "Oh well, my character's gonna look at the box, and I was gonna be like, okay, well, go ahead and do that," and then there would be like basically, kicking him out of the group. Not really, but yeah.
Right.
And I was like, well, no, I mean, like, just just as Ivy is like Guy's
alter
ego, unfiltered ADHD, Julie is very much she's very me. She's very me at my conniest, riding highest, sexiest best.
Sexy bastard, you.
And but she's also, like I said, she is very me in that, like, at my some aspects of my worst, where at my worst I'm borderline solipsist. Like, I have trouble understanding that other people are actually people.
Right.
Or at least I did when I was younger and crazier. On that, and even still, it's like she really cares about the people that she cares about, but everybody else is like, it's not even that they can go fuck themselves. It's just that she just doesn't care about them. Who are these people? They are obstacles at worst.
Complicated.
So, guy kind of is painting Ivy into this corner. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily true. It's like, Julie didn't go looking for Bach because she doesn't really care about Bach.
Right.
Bach, I mean, like, he was very attractive physically. She was utterly uninterested in anything else with him, sexually speaking.
Conversations were just tiring.
Yeah, the conversations were in fact tiresome. And so to her, Bach was like, okay, yeah, other people really like him, but not really for her. That's fine. He's gone. Well, that's kind of terrible. But she was more focused on her own terrible experience at the time, because I mean, she is definitely a pro-social psychopath. And like, there's that line from Cruella where it's like, Cruella has made it her or me, and I choose me. Julie will ever choose herself and those that she cares the most about, which there are a few people, over anybody else. However, she likes Ivy. She likes Ivy in that game recognizes game.
Yep.
Is the first thing. When Ivy first showed up, Julie was like, oh, this is some weird green tiefling groupie we've acquired. Okay.
Right. And Ivy's done
fine.
some stuff that actually was reasonable and useful.
Yeah, but the things that I'm actually curious to hear what you think that Julie thinks. Like, why do you think Julie likes Ivy?
Oh. Well, I mean, first of all, I need to quantify painting myself in the corner. I wasn't painting myself in the corner. I was concerned that if we let this one play out to its natural end, there might be a consensus of, well, if you like Box so much, you might as well just go find him, and then I'd be like, crap, I'm out for the next 6 months in the game, while Ivy goes and search it, for the story. As a player, I've always been a story first player. I'm a story first GM. Willing to sacrifice just about anything, which is one of the reasons why I've told Troy this. Ivy's not part of the prophecy piece. And if he wants to kill Ivy before we get to the prophecy for the story, I'm on board, because it's for the story. You know what I mean? Like, I have faith that that's part of the story. Or displace Ivy, or put her out to pasture, or put her in a field, or whatever he wants to do. If he wishes to do that for the story, that would be so cool. And I would really respect and I don't know if I'd like it that much, but I definitely respect it. It'd be cool. That doesn't mean that I want you to, but I'm just saying you have that agency if you wish to use it. Because I'm a story first person. Now, to your question, what does Ivy think Julie thinks of Ivy?
No. What does Guy think? Because you started to say that, oh, well, Ivy's done some useful things. I'm like, and that made me think, what does Guy think that Ivy has done that makes Julie like her?
Ivy had a rough start. Because there was an awful lot of Wesley Crusher-esque commentary without all of the Wesley Crusher awesomeness. You know, shut up, Ivy, shut up, Ivy, shut up, Ivy, you know, sort of stuff that happened really early on. The one instance I can remember was like, we're all going to go in and attack this one place. Should we take Ivy with us? Oh, hell no. You know, and it was like, yeah, she's not useful. You know what I mean? Like, she's not useful to the game. If you're deciding one of your players or one of your characters shouldn't attend the party, so to speak, then, you know. However, I think that I have shown that she is useful to the other players in the game. And I think we're still metagaming a little, you know. Should we take Ivy in? No, but we will, because that's kind of weird to not just make guys stand outside and watch, you know? So I think there's still a little bit of metagaming. That's my personal opinion. What do I think Julie thinks of Ivy? I think the answer to that one really boils down to, I think that she sees Ivy as somewhat of a pet and somewhat, you know, like the adorable. I think your original statement, we've gained a groupie. I still feel that vibe. So I think, though, the last couple of times that we were with Clear Issue, Clarissa, I just totally said it in Ivy speak.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we were with Clarissa, you had said that all three of us went off to sing and dance and do stuff. And I think that, you know, be bards together. I think that changed a lot of what I was viewing of that. You know what I mean? Like, now I think that the question really is, would you take Ivy with you on your missions? You know, and that's really the, how much am I being goofy and strange with Ivy that it's pushing the reality of whether you should take Ivy with you because she's going to screw stuff up. I've been really trying to figure out how to add Ivy's, you know, trip, fall, and steal the guy's purse sort of skills that she's got, you know, how to make those work. But yeah.
That's one of the tricks of playing the comic relief, of not being so ridiculous that what people rely on you to do is to mess up or to make an ass of yourself.
Right.
Because then it's like, we don't want to take you on this covert mission because you're too noisy. We don't want to take you into this diplomatic mission because you're going to start singing about butts and that. So a big part of it comes into Ivy digging herself out of where she was by proving that she cannot do these things. And I feel like that was highlighted really well in the last game, when you were specifically told, don't say anything because you'll get us all killed if you say something. And then Fox goes off to do and say all of the stupid things.
Right.
And
she was really mad about that. She's like, you told me not to say anything.
She should bring it up.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. That was a turning point for my character, because it's clear everybody's an idiot sometimes,
Mhm.
you know, and maybe just letting her be an idiot sometimes will work to our advantage, you know.
Yeah.
Like the time that our thief, we were chasing our thief and everything like that, and she just my character critical fumbled, so she started singing, humming to herself, which made it really hard for her to maintain her stealth roll.
Singing a song about how she's being stealthy and tracking someone.
Right? How cool she was at being stealthy. That was her song. That was what she was singing, was how cool she was, and nobody can see her. However, she turned it around and drew all the attention of everybody around her and just let the thief go away.
Yeah.
Which, in my mind's eye, something in Ivy decided that she didn't want to be pursuing the thief anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh yeah, that's part of Ivy's modus operandi, is, as all of us ADDers do, because I've had this moment where whatever it is that's going through my brain just leaks out my mouth. I'm just sitting there in the room all by myself, and I go, No, Troy, that would never happen.
You said the quiet part out loud.
Right? And it's like, there's nobody with me. Nobody's around, but clearly I'm having some discussion with Troy in my head. And all of a sudden, I just say it out loud. So I figured that was exactly what happened when she stealth rolls. She's constantly singing songs in her head. She's a bard.
Mm-hmm.
So she's constantly singing songs. So when she fails her stealth roll, I'm being so stealthy, just stealthing along. She just, oops. I said the inside part outside.
Yep.
You know.
I love that the last game became Xanathar's family counseling.
That was really freaking
It was
fun.
not planned at all, and I loved how it just ended up there.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Xanathar is a crazy beholder crime boss of Waterdeep, not Waterdeep, but Skullport underneath Waterdeep.
Yes. Julie had to go make sure that Fox didn't get killed.
Yep.
Like, you don't talk. Don't say anything.
Yeah, she totally did the martial arts movie crack.
Yeah.
Doing that. No, so like I said, Julie cares about the people that she cares about deeply, and so Ivy was a student of the love of her life, who tells her, there's some depth there.
Yeah.
Her father
Mm-hmm.
got to know Ivy, and even Fox. Even Fox was like, I was making an utter fool of myself, and Ivy's the one who actually snapped me out of it, type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's that. Game recognizes game. Julie is not threatened by Ivy.
Nope.
In any way, shape, or form. It is not in her character to feel that way. She does not get jealous. Though Ivy has on paper the higher charisma.
Yeah.
And so it's not.
But I think it's becoming academic at the level that
there's
we're
no
both
issue there. But there's also, let's see here. When Jean played a song for Julie, Ivy was there, helping her.
Yeah.
When Julie got the box of her departed husband's effects, Ivy was there and did the thing that the out of left field. Here comes a piece of wisdom.
Right.
If you're willing to listen to it.
Ivy does that from time to time, and that's a good part of her character.
Mm-hmm. And Julie caught it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. He's like, it was something along the lines of Ivy was like, oh, if you want me to write a song for your departed husband, I can do that. And Julie's like, I'm quite capable of making my own songs. And Ivy's like, but yours is going to be sad.
Right.
And Julie's like, well, yes, of course it's going to be sad. It's about my dead husband. But examining that, I see.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how this is, how I have not been very me recently. And whenever I'm depressed, I remember that I'm awesome.
And then I'm not depressed anymore.
So
one of the affectations, by the way, for those of you at home, of Ivy is that she doesn't call anybody by their real name except Bakht. Bakht is the only, she's got like these mispronunciations of everybody's name. So she calls Julie, jewelry, like the thing you wear, like rings and stuff. Because to her, she's very pretty and sparkly. And sometimes on the surface, like not very deep sometimes. So there's like everything has a second meaning, and I worked really hard on everybody's names so that they all have second meanings. Like the fox is named the Fog, the Golden Fog, because he's lost. He misses things. He doesn't see it when it's right in front of his face.
Perpetual state of drunkenness.
He's perpetually fogged out. Yeah.
highly functioning alcoholic.
Right. So she has these moments of clarity. So I'm sorry, Alex. I just wanted to say that because it's an important aspect.
Yeah, and so this is like those are the reasons why
Mm-hmm.
and then so and if just because it is not important to her to go find Bacht or Drayden for that matter, but mostly Bacht. Like out of all the people who are not in the game, like Bacht is probably the one the most like he kind of hated this life anyway. Let him keep on doing whatever he's doing. It doesn't matter to me. Like those are the things, and there is a, especially since Julie's done some cloak and dagger stuff, there's definitely a place for the master decoy
Mm-hmm.
to have value and such. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So but also just because Julie doesn't care about finding Bacht, if Ivy wants to find Bacht, Julie's not going to be like, okay, well, bye.
Off you go.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. It'll be like, okay, well, let's try to figure it out.
Right.
Like, what can we do?
And really, in the end, that was all I was trying to say was I just want to find out what we want Ivy to do to wrap up this hook. Because
as we get closer to the end of the show, I was going to say Ivy has recently come into a lot of gold, and investing that into the fathers to help them with their research to find a way to get the Bacht.
That sounds perfectly reasonable. Now I'm tithing.
Yeah, and it could be a thing too. That's I mean, we might all die at the end,
right?
You know, but if we don't, I mean, I know what Julie's going to be doing, and Ivy could be like, you know, they can continue the quest for Bacht.
Yeah,
you know,
the search for Bacht.
Yep, that's what I put in the text. The search for
Some
Bacht.
say that she still wanders the earth today, looking for Bacht.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good character. I'm really liking her, and I'm enjoying her. To wrap things up, I think that's a very good thing. Of course, Ivy sees everybody as her absolute closest family member, bestest friends that have ever existed. Cats, dogs, anything. She just loves you people because she's very pure.
Because none of them have put you in a cage.
Because none of us put me in a cage.
Such a low bar.
It is sort of a low bar. But that's the thing, is that Ivy pretty much accepts you as you are and sees you at face value. And that's okay. She doesn't judge. So wherever you are, she's cool with it. That's who you are. And, you know, it's not a judge, which is a different thing about her character. So cool. Well, that was an interesting discussion we had. Thanks, Troy, for indulging us. Because, of course, Alex and I were like, ooh, this would be really good to talk about. I'm like, yeah, but we're going to have to totally like sling it at Troy without him knowing, you know. Not really.
That's why I texted.
Yeah, he texted you. Then this afternoon when he came by, I was like, I'm so glad you did that. I didn't think about doing that until just now. Because just didn't cross my mind.
If we're having problems, and part of those problems are manifesting as communication issues, perhaps we should work on communication.
Right? Weird. So weird. Well, these weird,
Gemini.
Weird. No, Troy's doing fine. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys being with us tonight, but I think that's all the time we've got for today.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Darcy. Really appreciate both of you being here.
Thanks for both being here today and engaging with us and talking to us, and we'll be here. I won't be here next week, but they'll be here without me. Because I am going to go hang. Well, I might be here, I guess. I'll be down.
Do you have a thing too, don't you, Alex?
My parents are going to be in town.
Yeah.
So I may not be on Geek Tank either.
I might be playing Sea of Thieves.
Maybe. Or I may join you. Just give me a text and say, what's your status? I mean, could be out with my sister hanging out because I don't get to hang out with her very often. She lives in a different state. So could be useful to just have a night where we just go do something. But yeah. Or we may be dealing with that stupid pod at night. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure one or more of my children would love to just do a live stream of a game. So
That'd be
probably
perfect.
do
Yeah,
that.
just do that.
That sounds awesome.
It'll be Geek Tank, but it'll be like live gaming, live streaming of a game.
Works for
To
me.
be determined.
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Well, that's all the time we've got for
Yep.
today. I've been Guy,
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
and this is Geek Tank.